I'm in a little bit of a down mood today. Have you guys ever had the worst news in the world delivered to you by one or two of your least favorite people in the world? Because when I saw Katz Brothers Sports tweet that Jody Fortson was signing with the Miami Dolphins earlier today, frankly, it's a miracle that I'm here right now.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
It may not be the biggest news of the day, and Nate even told you this moment was probably coming on Tuesday's show, but yes, Jody Fortson is on his way to Miami. I think we can all unanimously say an interesting fit in that offense, and I would love to see him have a tremendous season in Miami. But we're not going to talk a whole lot about Jody Fortson. We did the little send-off last episode, and the Chiefs have made a move, but much like Jazz for the Chiefs in free agency so far, it's about the moves they haven't made. I'm Joshua Brisco with Seth Keysor and Nate Taylor. It's like the notes you don't play, Seth.
Jazz the music.
ZZ at the end.
I thought you were talking about my exquisitely hot wife. Sorry.
All right, so there's Seth's contribution for today's show, which is fitting because right as we popped on, Nate bounded into the feed, and he had been working the phones, getting some intel. I don't know. Seth does not know what Nate's been working on this afternoon, but he said, "Well, you're gonna have to let me cook," and I all I did. Oh, hey, whoop. Curtis Samuel, Buffalo Bills. How about that? Breaking news to start the show. Adam Schefter says former Commanders wide receiver Curtis Samuel is signing a 3-year, $24 million deal worth up to $30 million, including $15 million guaranteed with the Buffalo Bills per source. That's not crazy money, right? I don't think any of us were huge Curtis Samuel heads over here, but that's one receiver off the board for reasonable money.
Yeah, the immediate analysis upon seeing this, Josh, and this is not what I was going to say earlier, is it appears that Buffalo was more willing to solidify the second-year contract. Obviously there's a 3-year sort of structure to allow you to do that. You understand it sometimes. And by the way, I mean, the Bills need a receiver just as much as the Chiefs, so it's an understandable conclusion that we got to this. Now, obviously, all eyes and attention turn to Marquise Brown,
Hollywood baby,
who I've been informed has knows who's on the team, knows who's on the Chiefs. That is what the internet has informed me of over the last 40 hours. Is, wow, did you know he knows who plays for the Chiefs? Did you know that he knows that and that they know him? Which I think is mostly good fun. But yeah, Curtis Samuel was of interest to the Chiefs. They appear to not be as comfortable. And look, there's more options. I mean, these things sort of morph and shift with Mike Williams being released. That sort of puts things into a different perspective than before. Had he not been released, had he sort of restructured his deal with the Chargers. So, there's options. Of course, there's still the draft to consider too, whenever you're discussing free agency. And so, yeah. Curtis Samuel, it was pretty clear that he wanted to play for a contender. And so he has accomplished that, and he'll get to play with Josh Allen. And he is added to the long list of veteran free agents who were, honestly pursued by the Chiefs, but never signed with the Chiefs.
So we have our whole show order on the side. I'll give you a little bit of setup. We will talk about where the Chiefs stand at the wide receiver position. We will talk about what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. We'll just get there when we get there. I think it's high comedy and will ultimately be great for us to talk about. But and also they did bring back Tershawn Wharton on a one-year deal. Yes. We'll break that down a little bit more later as well. Everybody's pretty happy with that, especially with little cap maneuvering that I'll explain when we get there. And then the off-season lessons, we'll probably get to that by the end of the show. Also, Seth had a story in the newsletter about the Super Bowl that is great to read, but I don't know if we can talk about it today at this point, Seth. I'll let you pitch it to people. It's a lot of fun.
What about those off-season lessons, Josh?
Yeah, we're gonna get there. That's just the last one today, and as long as we get down the list by about the 55-minute mark, we'll get to off-season lessons, and I'll share my thoughts there.
My thing got bumped.
Yeah, I got bumped by Tershawn Wharton. Sorry.
That's fair.
It's hard. Listen, I read your. Hey Seth, let's do this as a treat. how's your story up in the Chief in the North newsletter? Because I read it, I just don't know. I don't know how it translates to audio. It's great to read and great to look at, but doesn't pertain to free agency. Chief in the North newsletter.
It does not pertain to any of those things because free agency has been boring. So I actually had an article half prepared, not really half prepared. I kind of write things in my mind, and then by the time I actually am writing, it goes really fast because I've kind of written it in my mind. Jazz says that's weird. I don't know if it is or not, but anyway. So I'd already had it like all
every
written
time I learn that our brains work slightly similarly and that our wives are both sort of confused by them, it really bums me out.
Sometime ask Renee when you ask her to think about an apple, whether she pictures anything.
Yeah, we had a whole talk about our internal monologues a few days ago. It was fascinating, but what you just said sounds like more like me. And again, I have to do some soul searching.
Jazz doesn't picture anything. She doesn't see an apple in her head. She sees nothing and thinks of an apple without seeing anything, which to me means she's going to kill me in my sleep at some point. But okay,
Nate just got up to take a phone call. I was about to say that Nate is not the one taking us off the rails. Pitch your story real quick, Seth, and then let's get into what we got.
So I was going to write about Jazz's communication. No, I'm kidding.
No.
So what the story is free agency has been really boring. I wanted to write about something I've been thinking about for a while. Some of my favorite Andy Reid play calls in the Super Bowl, because one thing he doesn't get enough credit for, and this happened last year as well, actually in 2019 as well, is chipping away at a really tough defense that's playing well until he found just a couple of tendencies and just started he found like there was just like this tiny little hole in the wall, and it was like, hey, can I get that bulldozer? And just starts hammering away at it over and over again. In this case, think mesh and read option, because it's like, hey, we haven't run read option in like, a year and a half. What if we ran it a couple times at wildly important moments? And so,
is it unlocked for everybody too?
It's not. I unlocked. If people are also looking to celebrate Chris Jones being signed and they're not subscribers, I did unlock the Chris Jones film review from the Super Bowl, where I talked about how he did things that didn't show up in the box score. And so, but no, the Andy Reid thing, while people are waiting for, I would assume, something to happen. I can only assume. We have seen the Chiefs sign. I mean, I'm needing to confirm this. Does Brett Veach know how to sign outside free agents?
Okay, are you done with the newsletter thing? Is that are you done? With
yes,
that, you being done
yes.
With it? Okay,
no,
what
go,
I will say
go
is
read
it's worth your $12 for the year just to watch the all 22 of Nick Bosa tackling Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who does not have the football. It's one of the funniest football follies ass things I've seen in a really long time. It's not a specific low light. It just shows you how hard he bit, and it rules. We've touched on a free agent bit of news at wide receiver, but Nate, what is the latest with L'Jarius Sneed? I'm here to let you cook.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you guys because you guys deserve it. You deserve to know what's going on. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready to understand what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm going to be.
Get that out, Seth. Get that out.
Seth had to get some phlegm out of the way. I'm locked in.
Clear it out.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, Tucker. Now, I tweeted something at 8:55 Central Time on March 11th. God, that was 3 days ago, man. It's been a blur. Wording is important. So this is the example, and then I'm gonna get to what you all deserve. I said you might want to start watching film of Darnell Mooney or
that was
Curtis
only 3
Samuel.
days ago?
That was 3 bleeping days ago, kids. This stuff moves. The game is moving fast, coach. Mike is doing all sorts of squats to keep that sentence intact, to keep that sentence factually and accurate as possible. You might want to watch film of Darnell Mooney. He went to the Falcons. Or Curtis Samuel if he went to the Bills. So, I sent the fellas a text, and for, again, context and for authenticity purposes, this was yesterday, okay? So, I just explained to you how things can change with free agents, right? In a matter of days. Like, that tweet doesn't matter anymore. But at the time, it was very accurate, very informed. Hope people appreciated that. Now we're going to go a little deeper. Yesterday at 2:33 p.m., I texted Josh, Seth, and Tucker. Here's what I got. It looks like the L'Jarius Sneed trade is 50-50 at this point. But more and more, L'Jarius Sneed is campaigning to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs. Guys, it is 4:59 Central Time the following day, Thursday, March 14th. There has literally been no update. So,
holy smokes, really?
What that means is there is now a potential possibility that maybe, just maybe, L'Jarius Sneed returns to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, return is a very interesting word there because he is technically not on the team. I know it says it on Over the Cap or Spo Track or whatever. But under the franchise tag, it's just it's not tenable, is my understanding, for the Chiefs, which has thus led to the trade discussions. Now, we can acknowledge who the mystery team was. You want to say who the mystery team is, Josh?
Yes, we've gotten a little bit of that out there on the internet. Your high-flying, big-spending Tennessee Titans, huh?
The Tennessee Titans.
Mystery team.
I mean, the amount of whiplash that I have watching them at the bar is crazy, okay?
I don't know what they're doing, man. I don't really get it.
They got money to spend, and they're spending it in various ways. Now, I don't know what the overall plan is, but look, new regime, an owner that clearly wants to be involved, and it looks like maybe the Colts are the more suitable option than the Tennessee Titans. But this is kind of where we are. You know, the Detroit Lions have made their choice. You know, the Minnesota Vikings have put resources elsewhere. Atlanta has focused more on offense and Kirk Cousins.
The Colts did bring back Kenny Moore, but we understand that hasn't ruled them out of the L'Jarius Sneed interest.
As of right now, no.
As of this exact second in time?
Yes, as of this exact second, no. And of course, things could change. What has Pretty Ricky said? I love the comments that Nate Dogg says. Ricky knows. What does Pretty Ricky know?
I think Ricky's last Chiefs adjacent thing was that they would trade Sneed and then sign Hollywood. And so far, neither of those things have happened. But he's been right about pretty much everything that he's put out. And Hollywood hasn't signed anywhere else yet.
True. Hollywood has shown a bit of patience. That I appreciate Chiefs fans, that. Yeah, that Chiefs fans can appreciate, I guess is the best way of saying it. Where does L'Jarius Sneed want to go? Who does L'Jarius Sneed want to play for, guys? I just want to throw that question out there because I don't know if that's getting discussed enough while the trade negotiations have kind of crumbled, then been put back together, then dismantled, and then delayed and pushed off, and then maybe we'll reassess this tomorrow. Where does L'Jarius Sneed want to play? Has anybody asked that question to themselves over the last 48 hours?
We're in a position here where now we are working without knowing the next things that Nate notes. I'm just going to say my guess is that L'Jarius Sneed would like to play with the Kansas City Chiefs, given the choice in a vacuum. And Indy seems less miserable than Tennessee would have been, so Indy seems okay.
Yeah, Indy's at least interesting. It's run by adults, and you've got they kind of overachieved last year when Richardson went down.
Yeah,
yep. Now the thing is, you don't know a lot about Richardson. Like he's kind of an unknown. He's got a cannon. The ball flies.
right
off of his hand. And that's as someone who's been charting Mahomes film for years. Like Mahomes over the last few years has really become a touch guy much, much more. He understands you don't have to whip it every single time. Josh Allen. Like when wide receivers are like 5 yards away. Josh Allen. Excuse me. Anyway, but I mean, someone, Lance McCormick just commented, Jim Irsay is an adult.
Yeah,
no,
that's a great.
No, we're not
talking.
Relative.
Andy's owner's an adult.
Whoa.
He lets Chris Ballard run the team by
we're
and large.
not gonna talk about Jim Irsay. Remember, it's about his daughters. His daughters are really pushing the team forward. We're modernizing. Jim has some
Things to work out.
Yeah.
And so Chris Ballard, by and large, runs the Colts. And so they seem to be a pretty well-run franchise under Ballard. And so I could see him wanting to play there, but everything I know is that Sneed wants to play in Kansas City. And I get that. But this is probably his only chance, I would think, unless he signs like a 2-year deal or something at a big payday, because he's 27.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two very conflicting things. And most players, they choose the most money.
Right. L'Jarius Sneed does not want to play on the tag for the reasons you just said, Seth.
Sure.
He would like long-term stability financially versus just a 1-year gamble that is playing on the franchise tag. The Chiefs would still like a second-round pick. The Chiefs would like multiple picks. Which fish has taken a bite on the reel? Is anybody? So now the question becomes, you're trying to win 3, right? You're trying to win a Super Bowl. Could you structure a 3-year deal that is honestly 2 years? Because whose 5th-year option comes up after two more seasons, guys?
Trent McDuffie. It's a big deal.
Nate is currently shrugging into an orb form in the back of his chair.
Could things change? Sure. Is both options available? Sure. Is there an appeal to both options? Sure. I just want the audience to put their shoes in L'Jarius Sneed. I could work.
Hang on.
Skip Bayless here?
No, I'm trying to be reasonable. What has Skip Bayless done? Other than commas.
I don't think he's put his shoes inside of someone.
Yeah, put. You said put your shoes in L'Jarius Sneed, and I was like, listen, if we're talking about what L'Jarius Sneed does and doesn't want, I would guess that that's on the no side.
Darn it, Josh! Why are you doing this to me?
In the privacy of their own homes is none of my business. Whatever.
Okay, imagine you're L'Jarius Sneed.
I can fit most of the shoe into my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the interesting thing, just from my point of view, in terms of the Sneed aspect of things. So when I wrote the "If I Were Brett Veach" piece, well, I always knew Josh would walk away while I was talking at some point in our lives, and he's gone right now. We are now looking at an empty, tastefully decorated room.
Yes.
Nope. There you go. He's got his shoe.
He's got an actual shoe.
So
are you putting that up for? Are you entering that into evidence?
This is my Marcus Peters signed cleat that Rudy Salazar got me for I think $20 one time, and I was gonna see how much I could fit into my mouth. That's the only orifice I'll be testing though. Or I could put my foot in this cleat if you want.
Continue, Seth.
Good Lord. So when I wrote the "If I Were Brett Veach" Part 1 series, when I was talking about guys to retain, I argued for retaining Sneed and Jones. Because if you do that, even if you lose Mike Dana, who is an important but not I don't want to say not pivotal. He was very important last year, but he's not a foundational guy. He's important but not pivotal. But you have a chance to bring back one of the, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the Chiefs had one of the 3 best defenses in the NFL last year. The Chiefs, the Browns, and the Ravens.
The Ravens gave up 1 billion points, so they cannot be included in this list.
The Ravens?
No.
Down
the Browns.
The Browns did, yeah.
The
okay.
Browns gave 1 billion points up, and I don't care that Joe Flacco threw 2 pick sixes. It didn't matter. They weren't stopping them boys all day.
Just let me do visual bits for the video viewers while you guys talk about all of this.
Josh,
I have been tested over these 4 days in a way that I have not enjoyed.
Yes. So
just by being on Twitter.
Josh just put a whole shoe in his mouth. Those who are just listening. Honestly, this is of all the podcasts. But God, it's so impressive. Of all the podcasts in the world.
How does he do it?
Magic, Nate.
Wow.
Of all the podcasts in the world, this is the one by far you miss the most when you just listen. So
I try not to let that be true because I feel like just listening is sort of the origin and maybe the most popular way of continuing to consume this show.
Oh, no, I'm sure it is. Listen, enjoy, but know every now and then it could be better. Even better. How's that? So if you keep L'Jarius Sneed, what you have, one thing we've talked about consistently is because the Chiefs have a deep, talented cornerback room that includes another elite corner in Trent McDuffie, it's a situation where they can be fine losing Sneed. However, if you have Sneed and McDuffie and Williams and Watson, you can build a defense around that. And they did last year. And let me tell you, they could do that in 2024 as well. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that's really tough is to have an elite defense maintained year after year. But the 2 reasons that's really tough is because of free agency, and you lose 1 or 2 guys, and it's hard to keep a whole band together with defense, or you lose coaches. The Chiefs didn't lose either of those things. Dave Merritt's still in town. Joe Colin's still in town. Spags is, of course, still in town. And if they keep Sneed, the only really impactful guy they would have lost would be Dana, whose snaps can be replaced without costing them much. That's really interesting. And that means you could maybe have that elite defense. And then, okay, let's say they keep the whole defense together. Maybe that means that they struggle to acquire another receiver. Fine, draft a receiver in the first 4 rounds and just go bananas in training camp. Be like, look, guys, it's going to be hard to make this team this year. And I'm sort of kidding.
Knee, and then you throw them into the middle of the green,
right.
The grass. It's been a long 4 days.
Either way. But I mean, and then also the thing with a 3-year deal for Sneed, that's really a 2-year deal type thing, you could give him a good amount of money. I don't know why he would do it, honestly, but you could still go out and get a receiver at an okay price.
Let me ask this about the Sneed thing then.
Sure.
I want to take that right back into the free agent receiver at the price. I want to. I guess, Nate, why don't you go first on this one to whatever extent you're comfortable in terms of the educated guesses or whatever. This isn't a report, and you've covered that things change very quickly and that this seems like a thing that is very much up in the air.
Mm-hmm. But doesn't feel like it's going to happen today, if people are wondering. It doesn't feel like a trade is going to happen. I
want to know what you think the most likely paths are or how close it is. If it's 50-50, it's 50-50. The other thing, though, is it holding up anything that the Chiefs currently could be doing? Would Hollywood Brown be a Chief if they had a solution on L'Jarius Sneed? You're nodding very aggressively.
They need the space. You have plans and you have contingency plans and you have an A, B, and C path. But L'Jarius Sneed is a very good player, but he's in an odd situation. Not as odd as Chris Jones last year, where it was undeniable he was great. But L'Jarius has gotten better every year in his career. L'Jarius is a very team first guy. He's a shadow corner who chooses not to really be a diva. He was at an event, obviously, a day or 2 ago, and was pretty honest that I would like to stay. that has only grown over the last 2 days as nobody has traded for him, or the Chiefs feel like they haven't gotten, suitable, assets in return. Of course, whenever L'Jarius Sneed lands, do you want to play on the tag? No. So do you want to trade for me or not? And what would that contract look like? That's its own negotiation situation, of course. So that's it's a tricky situation, but also to Seth's point, if you're trying to win and your 3-year deal is not that different from what L'Jarius Sneed could potentially receive upon arriving after a trade, it's really something to consider. That's why, multiple people with knowledge of the situation understand that there was urgency early, and now everybody's trying to reassess, and that makes things difficult. I mean, this isn't like, hey, we got to know who our backup quarterback is because Kirk Cousins just came to town, or Sam Darnold is now our quarterback, and I mean, somebody's got to back up Deshaun Watson because, we can't have Joe Flacco here because that will only make our contract look worse. It's already terrible.
The worst.
Hey, we gave, what's his name, Sam Howell. We gave Sam a year with Eric bleeping Bieniemy. And you know what we're going to do?
What are the Seahawks doing?
We're going to smoke both of them out of town. And then the Seahawks saying they're like, well, it's a competition. Yeah, stop it, okay? Geno Smith is their starter. But the Chiefs want multiple picks. They wanted to, as some people realize, shout out to Kent, the Titans don't have a 3. Kind of complicates things if you don't want to give up your 2, doesn't it? Also, how much money did you just give Calvin? What? That contract last night reverberated across the entire league because it's an amazing deal. And when I mean amazing, I mean everybody's saying, wow, that's amazing.
Seth, you were making some facial expressions that may have mirrored my own as Nate was talking about the fact that the Sneed thing kind of feels like it's in the way of what could be happening next, which is a story we've told and been told for a while. Go ahead, Nate. Seth's face is going to explode.
When the Chiefs had cap space, here is a trade for Frank Clark. Here's Tyrann Mathieu. Here's Joe Thuney. There's even the Juju, everybody knew about the Juju Smith-Schuster stuff. Here's Juju Smith-Schuster. Even before, I like to remind people, even before we trade Tyreek Hill, right. we're doing this now. So there's examples of we have an understood plan. Jawan Taylor on opening day is our guy, and we are gonna pay him $20 million a year. Is he a left? Again, I remember being on the show last year being like, that's left tackle money. And then being told literally within hours, yeah, he gonna play left tackle for us on that contract, and being like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. He never played left tackle, kid. So all I'm saying is, yes, this does hinder them to some degree because they have shown obviously in the past that we have a plan. We have people we would like to pursue, and obviously, offer contracts that we can obviously agree to and put in pretty quickly once the new league year begins.
So, Seth, what is that making you flash back to there?
This is where it gets complicated because it's borderline impossible to criticize how the Chiefs have gone about their business the last couple of years because they've won back-to-back Super Bowls and have created one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history if you're talking in a 5-year period. And so that's because that's the other thing, and that's why I write every year, the best moves Brett Veach made. And keep in mind that Mike Edwards was signed on the 3rd or 4th day of free agency last year. Charles Omenihu was the 2nd or 3rd day signing. Drew Tranquil, similar thing. These were not guys that at the time were heralded, and then they played massive roles in the Chiefs winning a Super Bowl. And even Juju Smith-Schuster, for as much as that was he was signed, then Hill was traded, but I mean
And then they called
had-
Marquez Valdez-Scantling immediately and said, "You ready to get on the plane?"
Yep, and these things were done in specific order. Veach has done a tremendous job in the draft, and has done a tremendous job mining free agency for low cost, decent impact players, because they're not necessarily high impact players, but they're decent impact players for sure. And getting that at a low cost, that's how you separate. That's how you remain a consistent contender. Is find low cost guys who make decent impacts while you already have stars. That's how you do it. However, if things are being held up because of what's going on with Sneed, it's the second year in a row that they've gotten held up over a very easily foreseeable cap space / contract issue.
Something they knew was coming. Absolutely knew was going to
They
arrive.
knew they weren't going to franchise Jones. They knew they were going to franchise Sneed. Like,
Tucker also points out Orlando Brown as a part of that cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
To
And
a certain degree, but like his number
Perhaps
was
less so.
Yeah, his number was easier to tolerate while also knowing that you didn't have a clear upgrade for one of the most essential positions in the sport.
And I actually, Orlando Brown, it's interesting. I know people aren't thrilled that they only got 2 years of play from Brown for a first round draft pick. But the reality is they got 2 years of cost controlled Orlando Brown, who played well enough. And that matters. Like that really I count that as overall as a decent use of that pick. Could they have found, someone be like, well, what about these 18 guys that were picked after that first pick that were better? It's like, yes, in hindsight, there's always a better draft pick you could have made, but
not.
I'm fine with what they did there.
Not that draft class. Let me tell you.
Well, and in that draft class, draft class, they needed to revamp the O-line. They did it. So Veach has done. He's overseen 2 different revampings of the defense. He's overseen a complete revamping of the offensive line, and now we've got the complete revamping part 1 of the wide receiver group. We're in the second part of it. And so it's so disingenuous, it feels like to me, for me to be like, oh, well, I don't understand why he's not doing. But it is a frustrating thing when it feels like the second year in a row, a very foreseeable contract issue is holding up from doing something that seems like such an obvious solution to a very clear problem. But I feel so whiny saying that. It's like, what am I, like Patriots fans from back in the day? But just because you win it all does not mean every step of your process was great. And that's, like they won it all last year. It doesn't mean Sky Moore was a good pick in the second round with what we've seen so far. And hey, I supported the pick. I liked his college film. Doesn't mean McCole Hardman was a great second round pick despite the contributions that he made. A side note, McCole Hardman, based on his body of work in Kansas City, way better second round pick than Sky Moore as of now. So it's just, we can criticize individual things with the caveat. I'm going to say something that I say to my sons. I love doing this to Josh. Me telling you something you've done incorrectly is not a commentary on your character or who you are overall. It's a commentary on this one thing.
Yes, Lord.
And that's Brett Veach. One thing is we seem to keep getting hung up.
And can I tell Sauce Gardner one thing? This is just my own personal opinion. What you mean by earned stripes? What you mean? What? Look at your offensive coordinator. Did he earn his stripes? How did he earn his stripes?
Oh, just McCole Hardman. I'm with
Hardman thing.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yes. How he earn his stripes? What you mean by earned stripes? You mean hold everybody for 10 yards? Get away with it? What you mean, man? What you mean? Like, you telling the whole thing was crazy? Because, like, would I have ran Randall Cobb all those reps in front of McCole Hardman?
Personally, probably not.
But he didn't earn his stripes. Okay.
Weird.
Okay, but also, y'all didn't do what every team has done this free agency, which is get a competent backup quarterback or trade the guy you don't ever want to see throw a football again. So, all right, man, cool. And this really isn't a defense of McCole Hardman. I just think it's hilarious that, like, what you mean? Like, again, this is
the Jets are a weird glass house to be throwing stones from.
To a certain degree, or I would have just liked to follow up. Like, what do you mean, like, earned stripes? Like he came to our team and thought he had done everything. That's what every free agent does. What are you talking about?
Right.
He also showed up with
What?
rings, plural, and so it makes sense that he would
Everybody does this.
be in that headspace, right?
Sorry.
Three time for McColl now, right? Yeah, crazy.
Uh-huh.
3-time.
The deep sigh, Seth, just because the lessons that you were discussing there that maybe people could keep in mind throughout an off season have been on my mind for a while, but we'll get to that before the end of the show. Because we need to talk about the receivers and the free agent wide receiver targets that remain, because that list continues to dwindle. Curtis Samuel signed right at the top of the show. Hollywood Brown continuously connected with the Chiefs. And then you can, I don't know, there's a little take debate happening about what Hollywood Brown actually is. We'll see. The current standing, though, Seth, is so minimal from the rest of these guys. You did your whole Brett Veach, if I were Brett Veach part 1 and part 2, and took a look at some of the receivers. We'll get to Tershawn Wharton. But in the structure of what's left, and Mike Williams, as we mentioned earlier, also, he was let go by the Chargers. Hunter Renfrow was let go by the Raiders. Two very different types of receivers, but a couple of guys who are out there now.
Right.
Should I be panicking and trying to get to Hollywood Brown as quickly as possible, or is this going to be like, oh no, just go ahead, do the thing where you invest in L'Jarius Sneed and build your defense, and then just draft, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 receivers in the first 2 days, and then make me live with that?
Wow. Can I say they're probably going to get somebody? Can I
That's
throw
pretty
that?
bold.
Can I throw that alley-oop? Hey, look at somebody. Who, Nate? Hey, man, I just make the pass. You gotta dunk it. You gotta do the actual hard thing, which is elevate. They're like, look, man.
Let's take a break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I was going to Seth. Nate went in for the pass breakup, tipped it up in the air, and then tipped it back to me, and that's just how it goes sometimes.
You don't I gotta be professional. I can't say what I want to say about a certain someone. All right, so let's
Man,
be,
I wonder which someone you're thinking about, which someone I'm thinking. Seth, you thinking about anybody?
let's be
I'm barely thinking right now. I don't
Look, man, L'Jarius Sneed might not get traded. That's your news. Go KC forever. Quote, Nate said he was going to reveal some news today. When you think L'Jarius Sneed gonna get traded, huh? When is that gonna happen? Because we've been sitting on the phone. It's the Chiefs weren't going to be completely active in free agency. They weren't going to be like the Titans, but obviously they signed Chris Jones. That is obviously the biggest priority. So you could already say the offseason is a success. Now it's just a matter of how much do you want it to be successful. The question when it comes to the receivers is, yes, I don't know if they're ahead of the race in Tyler Boyd.
And there's a race for Tyler Boyd. That's the free agent. That is the situation in free agency at this point. Is that there's a race for Tyler Boyd, who's a perfectly decent slot receiver.
He's really good.
But to say he's even a really good slot receiver, because like when I think a really good slot receiver, I think of like Keenan Allen, right? I think of someone who is like just an incredibly tough cover one-on-one. Now, it's not fair. A lot of my impressions on Tyler Boyd are based on when they play the Chiefs, and he's got Trent McDuffie just swallowing him up, snap after snap after snap. That's not fair. Then when L'Jarius Sneed pressed him, I honest to God thought he'd killed him. And so that's not fair to Tyler Boyd. But here's the interesting thing to me. There's a bidding war on Tyler Boyd. And Calvin Ridley got $52 million guaranteed. The wide receiver room, the money going out to these guys is crazy. Honestly, what I could see them doing, okay, you know what? We're not going to get like this high level. Let's just go with the archetypes again and see if we can convince Tyler Boyd on a relatively friendly deal and get DJ Chark on a relatively friendly deal. And we'll okay, Chark, you're the deep threat. Boyd, you're the slot guy. Rice, let's see if you can do a little more than what you did last year. And that would arguably, funnily enough, be a better wide receiver room than they had in 2022. But that's where.
But Seth, we like to interchange guys. Guys like to go from Z to Y to X.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I was talking.
That whole like mesh stuff. Yeah, he's not gonna line up on the same formation on the same spot every time we run mesh. We're not gonna do that. And in fact, we need him to motion a certain direction. And also, we need you to understand that Kelsey's gonna do what's not drawn up.
You can't have your cake and eat it too and get paid to eat it. You can't have everything. You can't be like, well, we need a receiver who can line up at X, Y, and Z, but he's also high level at X, Y, and Z, and we also can't pay him very much money, and also he needs to be, you can't have it all. So you have to make a choice.
Here's what I'll say, okay? No one's going to love this, and I understand it.
Oh, brother.
Here we go. Let's go down the list, baby.
I am prematurely upset right now.
Here we go. Go down the list. Let's start looking at traits. Tyler Boyd, what you got? Hey, Devontae Parker?
I have a knife. I don't know why. I had a knife in my office.
DJ Chark? Anybody interested in Josh Reynolds? I said his name last time. Still out there, baby.
Did he not sign? I thought he signed.
Where did Josh sign?
I think he's gone.
Oh no, the spot track says he's available.
No, somebody update this list for free agency. There's too much. It's too much. Obviously you mentioned Hunter Renfrow. Do you think we get 9 games out of Mike Williams? And
Ricky said that Josh Reynolds was going back to the Lions, and for me mentally at this point, that was just what it was. Thank you, Tucker.
Trent Sherfield, little Ray McLeod. Can I ask a question that Chiefs fans aren't asking themselves?
Yeah, are any of these dudes better than Kadarius Toney?
Why is Marquise Brown on the open market? Because there's a reason, kids, why a guy reaches free agency. Why now somebody tell me, why is he a free agent and why no team really threw him the bag that is already outbid the Chiefs?
There's a good answer and a bad answer for the Chiefs. The good answer is that he's being patient because he knows the Chiefs have a good offer in, and it's just a matter of time. The bad one is probably whatever else you're about to say.
Go ahead, Seth.
I can't do the appeal to authority thing. I can't do it because teams because you know who else was on the market last year? Charles Omenihu and Drew Tranquil was on the market for $3 million, and Mike Edwards was on the market for $3 million, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't drafted in the first 3 picks. And NFL teams do stupid stuff all the time. They
traded up for Sky Moore. We're here.
They traded up for Sky Moore. Hollywood Brown. The reason I would assume he's still on the market without someone breaking the bank for him is because he's relatively undersized. He's had some history of injury issues, and his production's been up and down. And I don't know if NFL teams always do the work to say, yeah, his production went down when he had Nate Taylor throwing him the ball for multiple times of his career.
And his quarterback
when he was playing in Greg Roman's offense, And so, I understand what you were saying because it's not like Hollywood Brown is not.
I'm sorry. You cannot say he's undersized. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to lock him up with that. Because the Tampa Bay Chiefs we're talking about. The only guy over 6'2" on this roster, I think, is literally Justin Ross.
Yeah. How dare you not talk about wide receiver 1 Justin Watson like that? It's like, well, we want guys who can line up anywhere, like Justin Watson. We want a guy who can run
6'3". My apologies.
We want guys that can run every. We want guys that can run every route, like noted intermediate and shallow route runner Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Like DJ Chark is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, just with an easier to say name that reminds you of a song.
Hey, Tyler Boyd, 6'2".
There you go.
Tyler Boyd would be fine, and Curtis Samuel at that number would have been fine, but it can't be your final answer. We did this last year, and it was like we spent We spent 6 effing months being like, I don't know, man, this receiver group's looking kind of questionable. And then we spent the next 6 months being like, how'd they let it get this bad? And now we're here again, and you're like, what about DJ Shark?
What about Josh Reynolds? Josh Reynolds, Google tells me is 6'3" in cleats.
But I mean, the thing for
They
me
want a
is
jump ball receiver? Are we want a big outside receiver now? So Mike Williams is the prototype, actually. It's been pure coincidence that all they've done to this point is draft dudes who are shorter than me.
Mike Williams has an injury history. How many games of Mike Williams are you going to get? And
Hey, Nate, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why isn't Mike Williams on a roster? Because he's turning 30, I think.
Yes,
And he has injury issues. That's why he's going to be on a 1-year, $8 million deal worth 14 with incentives. Like, that's why there's value there. They have when's the last time the Chiefs found value at wide receiver? Nate, it was with an injured wide receiver named Juju Smith-Schuster. That's the last time the Chiefs found value on the market was the guy. Why isn't Juju still in Pittsburgh? Why isn't he still in Pittsburgh? Because he was hurt and his production was a little bit up and down with his injured bad quarterback. How is this different?
I got him, guys. I got him.
It's different.
I got him. Which 9 games you gonna get? Which 9 games you want? You want the back end or you want the front end?
Well, they dealt with it with Frank Clark for like 4 years, so I don't see why they can't do it with someone else. But that was mean. Sorry, Frank. But like,
it's not mean. It's not mean. It is factual. It is because right now Nate's not being mean to Mike Williams. He's saying factual, true things.
Right. I'm just asking the hard questions.
Frequently unavailable, overpaid Frank Clark. That's just factual.
And you get into a bidding war with Luke Snows, the Denver Broncos.
The thing for me that I think the reason I'm a little ranty about it.
Empty. There's no one else out there.
But I'm not that ranty. I'm actually going a different direction with this.
Hey,
I think
Josh,
right now,
can you tell us
I think what you guys really need is to make this about dating and relationships. Fellas, you got any of those friends out there who are in their early 30s and it's like, hey man, listen, you're a good catch. You're right. I believe in you. Eventually you're gonna find a nice lady. You're gonna settle down. But so far, all I've done is sit here and watch you swipe left, find the flaw, find every single flaw, and then now you're here at the end of the season, wondering if Sky Moore can come be active for the Super Bowl.
They also call her a firecracker, and we don't know what that means. So good luck finding out.
By the time you're in your early 30s, you know what that means.
She's a firecracker, guys.
They traded a draft pick for.
She's got a lot of interest in shoes, so just look out for that. Any kind of shoe.
Yeah,
all the shoes.
I'm gonna shove this shoe to the back of my head.
She's definitely, she's feisty. That's a word.
She's very confident in her own abilities.
Yeah,
and she
and that harassment restraining order was mostly it was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So here's, Josh, I get why you're fired up about this, and Nate does this to me too. And it's intentional.
Yes, of course it is.
I'm not mad at Nate. To be clear, I'm not mad at Nate.
Gosh,
I know what Nate's doing.
Huge ass comment. She's got a 450 credit score, but she confident.
Who said that, Seth? Sorry, I missed it.
That's the comment section. Huge ass.
Hey guys,
she's got a 450 credit score.
Hey Nate, shut up. Who was it from, Seth? I missed it.
Huge ass.
I cannot believe that just happened to me. Come on, Hugh. You know what? If that's Hugh's real name, you're going to feel real bad.
Look,
Seth, cool comment here from Deez. Deez says, Nate, how could you do this?
Hey, Nate Dog, who says, quote, she has some miles on her. What do you mean by miles? What kind of miles? What kind of miles does she have? Are we talking
two biggest swings they've made the last 2 years were Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney. I can't do this.
Are they talking air miles?
I just got Bart Simpson. How did that just happen to me?
Josh,
oh my goodness. That is so funny. I saw that less than I see the break every week. That was unbelievable. I can't.
I'm doing a little.
And you tried to tell me.
Yeah. And I just ran right through the sign. Third base coach said stop. I said, nah, baby, we gotta get home.
It's okay.
Josh, can you tell me how much cap space the Chiefs have? Because sometimes I would like to take the girl out, but she's trying to go to somewhere fancy. And fellas, I only got Applebee's money, and I'm not saying the Chiefs only have Applebee's money.
Yeah,
it's not a
only
lot.
Find out who's responsible for this. I don't. It's not a lot. It's definitely not a
not
lot.
a lot.
Which is, it's shocking that the NFL surprised the Chiefs by putting a cap on the salaries this year.
That is a Chief of the North subscriber who did that to me. Hugh, I am not.
Yes.
No. Okay, let me just say, nope, you know what? Actually, I am not going to ask commenters to do anything because that will go the complete opposite direction. So please, commenters, do that very often. Always do that. Try to fool me.
Applebee's on a late night.
Please.
Marquise, you
Please.
can run some crossing routes.
So here's
Only
the
for 1 year, though. Can you
and
make
this
it
is-
really incentive
here's-
loaded?
Here's the
Hold on,
interesting
I think
thing
Nate
to
just
me.
did news. I think Nate just did news. You guys,
No, I
the two of
didn't.
you
What?
should the two of you should listen to this show sometime. It's really good
What?
when you're listening to it.
What?
Hey,
What?
I got this Applebee's money, and if you act right, you can get some of that Capitol Grill money. And if you act right,
You get that
get some of that
1587 grill money. Is
Yeah,
what
you
we're
get-
talking about now. Thank you, Tucker.
and if you
Great
act right, I can take you to I don't know, name a nice restaurant.
Where's the Super Bowl this year? Is the Super Bowl this year in
Yes.
New Orleans?
Yeah, get that New Orleans money. Look,
It's getting
Applebee's
hot
money.
in here, dude. I'm taking
T-Bone, what do you
loads
what do
off.
you not understand? Applebee's on a late night. I mean, come on now, and it's getting late.
Dollar
As
drink.
Chiefs-
It is late.
It's
gotten
getting late.
Pretty quick.
Chiefs fans are saying it's getting late.
Yep.
Hey, they gonna turn the lights on. I need to make eye contact with somebody in this room.
Before those lights come on, you need to get out of here. The street is dimly lit. You can get out of here. But okay,
you can go
can
home.
I just
but
point
why?
something out though? Here's beggars can't necessarily, and I get the Chiefs. You never want to be desperate in a way that handicaps you long term.
Correct,
But beggars also can't be choosers,
and that's Clark Hunt.
and that's where when
I
you've
dare
got a
you call
situation
Clark Hunt a
where
beggar to his face.
we're
your
talking
life.
about how there's really slim pickings out here. So I'm just looking at the Spot Trek list right now, and I'm not saying I want to sign any of these guys or all of these guys or anything, okay? Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow, Odell Beckham Jr., Tyler Boyd, Michael Thomas, DJ Chark. So that's Josh Reynolds, Marquez Brown, all right? So I've named some people. Every one of those receivers I just named would probably be wide receiver 2 on the Chiefs at the very, very least. And that's where, to me, it's like trying to have it all. You often end up with nothing. And I think that's where the analogy that you gave about the dude that swipes left and everything. Well,
Yes.
buddy, now you're
Yes.
35
Yep.
and all the nice girls are married and have kids. And you're just that guy that never really called them back while they happily go home to the husband schlub who benefited from your stupidity.
He signed a
And he's-
long-term deal early on. She
Yep.
kept getting better. The team did not. But hey, listen, they are locked
Shit.
up. I'm feeling okay about it.
The team is just hoisting Super Bowls on just getting carried to Super Bowls by this person, and
Seth,
you are
if kids
just
are
sitting there-
trophies, you are a winner, my friend.
And look, we
Yeah.
put a lot of mechanisms called guaranteed dollars.
It's a lot of guaranteed mechanisms.
Got a
So-
guaranteed mechanism.
That's the reason it's frustrating me.
No.
I just realized we've got that thing on the right side that we haven't gotten to.
Well, we
well,
went down to Sneed first, but we are almost at an hour, and we haven't talked about the Steelers hating the Chiefs, Turk Wharton, or off-season lessons, which I really think would be a valuable thing to get to today. I'm sure we will. Go ahead, Nate. Put a bow on this one. Let's talk about the Steelers after that.
so with all the reasonable discussion we had, and obviously some of the sideways tracks, yeah, start looking at that Tyler Boyd or. Let me look at the list one more time. Start looking at that Tyler Boyd tape and Josh Reynolds.
You know what? Tyler Boyd or Josh Reynolds would upgrade the Chiefs wide receiver room.
And you also have to understand too that like everybody in the league knows they're going to draft a receiver, guys. So
Yeah,
like
this is
I
known.
mean, come
Yeah,
on.
a fail-safe, instantly successful plan.
I mean, just come on, everybody in the
Angry
league.
you is the funniest person on the
Everybody
planet.
So
knows.
dumb. It's just so dumb. Like, ask Andy Reid about Rashee Rice after the Super Bowl, and he was like, yeah, dude, that was an effing miracle. A rookie was like our most important wide receiver down the stretch, and it worked. Guys, I'm just as shocked as you were. Like, I'm Andy Reid. I can't believe that worked. Meanwhile, the previous receiver investments in the draft, not so good. And right now, the depth chart, 1, 2, 3, is Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, and let's go ahead and throw Kadarius Toney in there, and you can tell me who you want to be wide receiver 3. Like, that stinks. That can't be your plan.
James Palmer just tweeted out, or no, this is a while ago, that Patrick Mahomes' phone has been blowing up.
Yeah, that was last year, so thank you for that.
I would like to. I hate everything.
Let's talk about the Steelers and how they made sure that Deontay Johnson could not be a member of the Chiefs.
Yes.
Mike Garafolo said it was clear to the rest of the league, basically, that Deontay Johnson was going to be available. He had permission, his agent did, recently to go seek a trade. They talked to a few teams. The Kansas City Chiefs, they had conversations with him at some point, but didn't seem like they were going to trade him within the AFC to a contender if possible. So sending him to the NFC, to the wasteland, that was parenthetical, to the Carolina Panthers, who have been looking to add receivers to the previous regime. The Steelers, fellas, to summarize,
yes.
The Steelers apparently, reportedly, talked to the Chiefs about Deontay Johnson and said, no, we don't want to send him to, I imagine they said, a fellow AFC contender, as they've now locked up Russell Wilson. So Steelers country, let's steal. I think this is great, Nate. I'll let you go ahead and take it from here. But I think this is great because the Pittsburgh Steelers looked at the AFC and they said, Russell Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes.
Sign me up.
Neck an AFC championship game. And you know what? I think we might get those fellas this time. Russell Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes and Deontay Johnson? No
way.
This receiver we could not get rid of fast enough. No. I think that he with Mahomes, that might be the thing that puts us over the top when we, the Pittsburgh Steelers, perennial contenders with Russell Wilson, are really going to be trying to push for a Super Bowl.
Josh.
They've only competed against the Chiefs in the playoffs once, and they got boat raced in the wild card round.
Well, did the Chiefs have Deontay Johnson? It could have been worse. Morons.
Also, Josh, you just have to remind the audience, what did Mr. Johnson go for in the trade compensation?
A bag of chips.
No.
It was a player swap. A dude with the same name as him, basically. Hold on. Dante Jackson and a day 3 pick.
That's a
swap.
made-up name. They made up
Dante
a name that sounds like
Jackson
Deontay.
for Deontay Johnson and a day 3 pick swap.
Look, I gotta say, their 6th round pick is better than the Chiefs' 6th round pick. This is facts. So there's value in getting the higher 6th round pick.
But like the Chiefs couldn't have offered.
I'm doing it again, guys. Look at his face.
Yeah, this one doesn't bother. This isn't the Chiefs' fault. This one's the Steelers' fault.
Here's the one thing for me though.
The price they could have gotten to.
I understand the Steelers saying, "Oh, we're not, we don't want to send him to an AFC contender," which is objectively whatever. I get it, but it's not like they're not in the same division. Like this is not
They're not in the same league. You could argue.
They're barely playing the same sport at this point. Yeah. So here's the weird thing to me is I get that they're saying that, but you're telling me that had this other team, whoever the crap they were, Carolina, offered Dante Jackson, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
And they're offering that and a mediocre pick swap. It's not even a draft pick. And the Chiefs said, how about instead we'll give you a really, 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 really good corner. You're telling me the Steelers would have said no to that? You're telling me the Steelers...
So, hey, Jalen Watson, it's been lovely. You and a 4th are going to Pittsburgh, and I'm really sorry about that.
Jalen Watson's a better corner than Dante Jackson, and on a cheap rookie deal. They could have sent just him, and they could have said, Steelers, you give us a pick. Like, that's where I'm so frustrated about it, because that, to me, and maybe, if none of this, if it just was impossible, the Steelers like, no, we're not trading the conference. Fair enough, then you can't. Then maybe you make fun of them on the phone a little bit before you hang up.
Yeah, offer him a second publicly.
They saying mean things about us on the internet. Hey, go put it out there, man. We made a call. Go put it out there. We made a call.
They made the call. But what did you offer in the call? Did you say, I can't give up my 5th round pick? Because, I mean, it's not like Deontay Johnson's an excellent route runner who would likely produce really highly in this offense because he sees the field well and he actually beats man coverage at a really high rate, which is exactly what they need next to Rashee Rice.
Hey, boss, they ask him what our offer was. No. I didn't say that. Just say we made a call.
Tell them we called. Yeah,
tell them
great.
We called.
Good. All right, so I think Seth is double right then. I echo Seth. I rescind my previous frustration.
Just say we. Just say we was on the phone. It didn't work out, Hey, we made a call. Hey, just tell him. He asking for what? We can't get that kind of information out because we got our own charts. We got our own evaluation boards. We don't want that getting out. But just tell him we got on the phone. Just tell them we.
Do they want to sign a receiver or do they want Sky Moore wide receiver 2? I am so confused. They are operating as an organization that does not want to add a receiver right now. They're operating as an organization that wants to be
This is it exactly. I see people all the time say to me, I'm gonna cross dip here. I really want to follow the conditions of my probation. I just keep not calling my probation agent, and I keep testing hot for methamphetamine. Well, I gotta tell you, you're telling me you want to do those things, but are you actually doing anything about them? One of my favorite judges says, that's not a plan, that's a wish. And you're like wishing that some excellent receiver is going to become available magically. Receivers fail more than half the time from the draft, significantly more than half the time from the draft. You can't just count on that. And you had a guy who beats, and Deontay Johnson's not an elite receiver, but he's a good one. He's better than anyone on the market, and he also beats man coverage at a really high rate, which is exactly what you need with Rashee Rice. Stop it, Nate. Come back here. All right, here we go. Come back. Hey, you intern, come back here. Hey, text this number. Yeah, they telling me that they argued on the show. So, hey, say we call Josh Reynolds' agent. Yeah, say we made a call. And you know what? Tell them that tell them we a dark horse. And you know what? Tell them we a dark horse in the Tyler Boyd situation too. Go and put that out there. I know he's from Pittsburgh. I know they know him in the division, but just put it out there. Put it out there. Whisper it to him. Make it. Actually, is Pat. We might be. I mean. Is Hollywood calling us again? Tell them to hold off. Tell them to calm down. Tell them to go back outside.
If they sign Hollywood, everything is fine. I can't believe we're here on Thursday.
Can I say why I feel strongly enough about that to freak out about it a little bit?
Seth, you have my permission.
By the way, just on a side note, use issues are complicated and it's a struggle for people, and I'm sorry for that. But don't tell me you want to do something and then not do it. That's just general man advice. So here's why I'm so frustrated.
Tell him.
Is Nate the reason you're so frustrated?
Tell Josh Reynolds to call us back. Actually, can you tell him to call us back? Yeah,
the casual body language is sending me to a fit of rage.
I understand that fans are upset, okay? I understand that. Intern, tell me what day it is.
Hey, can we get Irv Smith in for a press conference?
That's a different department, Seth.
I don't care. They shouldn't have put him in that position. Hey,
Seth, why does this make you so mad?
We signed you.
Just start.
Here's the reason this makes me so mad. The Chiefs have the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. And last year, the wide receiver room situation was so bad, it started to alter his play. Because, and this is a both and thing. This isn't an either or thing. Because people were like, oh, well, the reason they were struggling is because Mahomes was struggling. The reason Mahomes started to struggle was because he stopped trusting his eyes and started to revert to 2018 Mahomes with a team that could not do it. You can't succeed outside a structure like that when you don't have Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins or DeMarcus Robinson. And no, I'm going to finish ranting this time, Nate. The real problem here is that you took the greatest quarterback in the history of
Ricky. Does our investigator know who Ricky is? Have you picked up on who Ricky is yet? Is he right on that stuff? Is he right? Yeah, go investigate it a few more hours, okay? Do your back channel thing. And hey, by the way, where's Tyler Boyd from again? Yeah. What kind of deal does he want? All right, call him back. But hey, did you do what I said? Did you do what I asked? Did you let him know? Did you let them know we made a goal? Look at me. Did you? Okay. And what day is it? It's March. Say it with me. March 14th. When do we play a game? That's right, young man. September. All right.
Just like last year, it'll all be fine by then. Seth, do you have the back end of the
Go ahead, Seth.
that plane's descent?
They won the Super Bowl on the back of incredible play from Mahomes and incredible defense, which is hard to replicate, even if you get back all the same guys, and a lot of luck. Travis Kelce, now hopefully he doesn't get injured right before the season again this year, but it's going to take, they talk about load management with Kelce, and on Tuesday, I joked around about it, but he's 34 years old, and you can't put the burden of the entire offense on him again. You can't rely on Rashee Rice growing within the offense in year 2. By the way, progression isn't linear in the NFL. Nothing to do with Rashee Rice, who I'm sure will work his tail off, looks incredibly talented, but progression is not always linear in the NFL. And remember that time Marquez Valdez-Scantling took a step, a noted veteran, had the worst year of his career, his second year in Kansas City? That stuff happens. And what has me so frustrated by it, you could draft 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds, and both of them might bust out, because that happens. That happens in the NFL. And then you're in a situation where the wide receiver room is so poor that it once again affects the play of the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. And again, Veach has earned the benefit of a doubt, but maybe not with the wide receiver room in the last couple of years, especially if it's a situation where it's treated like it's not urgent. There are important things and there are urgent things. I would argue this is both of them.
Hey, tell them, come back in here. You think still in the office? You know what? Call Tennessee again. Call Tennessee. Let's do it one more time. Okay. Let's do it one more time. And if he's not there, tell him to call me back. Okay. Should we call Allen Robinson just to say we did it? Just to say we did it.
Tershawn Wharton's back. It's a 1-year deal. It's like $3 million, pretty much it's fully guaranteed. I think it's a little less than $3 million. I had it up earlier and then I lost it. And there is like that special little mid-level benefit thing that makes it basically a vet minimum against the salary cap, like 1.5 minimum. Seth, in the newsletter, when you were writing about if you were Brett Veach, what you would do, you said you'd bring Tershawn Wharton back if the price was right. And they paid him a little more in cash than I saw that number. Like, that seems a little high. Right. But with the little against the cap, that does feel like the right price there to me.
Yep, it's a good price. I wrote about Tershawn Wharton and his play in the Super Bowl along with Mike Pennell and Leo Chanel, which, a lot of similar sounding names there.
2 guys are back now, and Leo, who wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
Yep, and Tershawn Wharton, who made one of the most important plays of the game. We talked about this last time. 2nd and 4 after a 6-yard run in overtime, and Tershawn Wharton stuffs CMC, I think it was CMC, it might have been their other running back, for absolutely at the line of scrimmage, forcing them to throw on 3rd down. We all know what happened with that afterwards. Wharton actually played well throughout the playoffs. We'll see how he continues to develop under Cullen. I think the 1-year deal, it's fair, and they needed depth on the defensive line. I love to see that. I have one more thing, just a teeny thing.
Sure.
Off-season lessons?
Yeah, it just does seem to me, at least there's just this idea here that the Chiefs might be looking to win every trade, every signing, every interaction other than maybe Chris Jones. And I can just tell you that sometimes when you win, you really lose. And sometimes when you lose, you really win. And sometimes when you win or lose, you actually tie. And sometimes when you tie, you actually win or lose. Winning or losing is all one organic mechanism from which one extracts what one needs. Gloria Clemente, white man can't jump.
2 great comments here back to back. First from JT. Seth, a whole new guy with that handheld microphone. I agree. He sounds and feels like an entirely different person. And then Go for KC Forever says, do we still got Cornell Powell?
Hey, is Cornell running routes? Actually, call
Cornell.
Get Kadarius on the phone. I want to get an update from him. You know,
Let's keep Kadarius off his phone, actually. Seth, any final thoughts? We're 10 minutes over, so it doesn't seem like today is going to be the day to get to off-season lessons, which is sure a shame because it feels pretty relevant. But that's
I'm
all right.
so excited to talk about off-season lessons at some point.
guys,
Yeah.
we went
In
so
2025.
long. We went so
Get us outta
long
here.
hoping there would be news to react to. We have tried and we have failed. Okay, because what day is it? It's March 14th. Do they hand out championships? Hell, divisional banners on March 14th. We still got more time. Yeah, they'll call us back.
Run out of time to sign Irv Smith, but plenty of time to get wide receiver 1.
You wait on them. You wait on them. They'll come to us. Okay. And I know what Seth said in the room. Okay, about winning, sometimes losing and losing, sometimes winning. I'm here to win. Okay. So call them back and tell them to call me back. And also, let's call it Jerry Sneed back too. How many phones we got going right now? Patch me through. We really tried, kids.
That's not true. The news will break as soon as we're done.
So how long should we keep going before I have to get on the phone again? Because this has been fun.
You know what?
This has been a
I
lot
think-
of fun.
I can see that phone ringing back there. I think
I'm so glad one of us is having fun with this, you gigantic jerk. Ugh.